Justin Herbert is emerging as the next great quarterback right before our eyes. Herbert has entered the MVP conversation after helping the Chargers to a hot 4-1 start to lead the AFC West. Nobody expected him to be this good this fast, but he's destroyed expectations, already throwing 13 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions this season, showcasing the player many scouts wondered if he could become coming out of Oregon. He impressed greatly as a rookie after being thrown in Week 2 after Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured by the team doctor.
Don't worry, this'll only hurt a lot!
Herbert improved week by week before exploding on Monday Night Football, passing for 4 touchdowns in an overtime loss to the Saints. He dominated in October, throwing for 10 touchdowns to a single interception and 901 yards. His rampage didn't stop there though, being named the Offensive Rookie of the Month for the second straight month in November. Herbert is one of 4 rookie quarterbacks to throw for over 4,000 yards and broke the rookie record with 31 passing touchdowns en route to being named Rookie of the Year. But that didn't come as much of a surprise to those who watched him during his time at Oregon. Nothing stuck out of his game quite like his arm. It's what made him such an intriguing prospect. Super strong, good velocity, and the ability to throw the ball anywhere on the field. Herbert was the best deep thrower in the class, but the concerns came with his trouble holding on to the ball. Often in Eugene, he'd hold on way too long and had a major fumbling problem. In film especially, he had trouble in games against good competition, a lot in part to his team's lack of talent around him. He was expected to jump to the pros in the 2019 NFL Draft, but shockingly decided to stay at Oregon for one more season, putting together the best season of his collegiate career with 32 touchdowns and 5 interceptions as the Ducks won the Rose Bowl. It came after 2018 when Herbert was expected to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, and while he was good, he didn't light college football on fire like many thought he would after a very promising sophomore year. In 8 starts, he was 6-2 and threw 15 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. But his season was ultimately cut short after a fractured collarbone derailed it. As a freshman, Herbert played in 6 games in what was the beginning of a disastrous coaching carousel, playing under 3 coaches in 4 years at Oregon before dealing with 2 in 2 years in Los Angeles. Herbert has flipped the Chargers franchise on its head, and Joe Burrow is trying to do the same for the Bengals. He isn't off to as good of a start as Herbert, but Burrow has the Bengals out to a solid start, throwing for 9 touchdowns to 4 interceptions early on. He had a good start to his promising rookie year, but it quickly went awry after he suffered a torn ACL and MCL along with damage to his PCL and meniscus against Washington. He had 13 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in 10 games, showing the potential to be the Bengals' next franchise quarterback. Herbert was talented as hell, but Burrow was likely the smartest guy in the class, with a ridiculous football IQ to read defenses and make adjustments. It probably helps when your dad was a college coach. He has great touch, but his arm is average at best. He can't necessarily make every throw, and it doesn't help that he only had 1 good year in college. And he was already 23 years old. But that all really doesn't matter when you put together the greatest season in college football history. Burrow led LSU to an undefeated season, a national championship, and won the Heisman Trophy along the way after throwing an NCAA record 60 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. It was a shocking season after Burrow didn't play super great the year prior in what was his first season at LSU. Burrow spent the first 3 seasons of his collegiate career at Ohio State, where he practiced across Chase Young, who Washington took with the ensuing selection. Young has already made his impact felt on the league, racking up 7.5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles as a rookie on the way to being named Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was ranked number 61 on the NFL Top 100 Players of 2021, but he is off to a slow start with just 1 sack and a forced fumble in 5 games. Despite that, his talent is on full display every game, proving why he was considered the best overall prospect in the class. You couldn't ask for a better sized defensive end. He's 6'5", about 260 pounds, shredded, and knows how to use his length to get past blockers while using an array of moves. It should be impossible for a dude of his stature to be that athletic and fast. But Young looks like a guy that was created in a lab and easily could become one of the league's best pass rushers. In a quarterback-led game, he was the 9th defensive player since 1982 to be nominated for the Heisman Trophy after recording an absolutely ridiculous 16.5 sacks and forcing 7 fumbles. There aren't many players to ever run through college football like Young did. He broke out as a sophomore after recording 10.5 sacks and a forced fumble, dominating on a stacked Buckeyes defense that featured star corner Jeff Okudah. Okudah had a less than ideal start to his career, going down in week 1 with a torn Achilles this year after he dealt with groin and hamstring injuries as a rookie. He was supposed to replace Darius Slay, but has instead not really lived up to the expectations of being the number 3 pick, and has only played in 10 games in the NFL. He was the perfect cornerback prospect coming out of college, sitting at 6'1", 205 pounds, with good instincts and the ability to shut down opposing receivers in tight man-to-man coverage. Everyone saw his potential from the jump in Columbus. Even as a true freshman, he played in every game and went on to put together an illustrious college career. But at cornerback, you often don't get the recognition you deserve. But nobody feels that more than offensive linemen, like Andrew Thomas. Thomas has played in every game for the Giants since they used the number 4 pick on him in 2020. New York brought him in with the hopes of him becoming a cornerstone left tackle, and he definitely showed the potential to be as a rookie. He continued to progress as the season went on, showing why scouts believed he could become a franchise tackle after his time at Georgia. Thomas has good arms and is super strong. He got to face off against some dominant defensive fronts in the SEC to help prepare him for the pros, but still did have some room to grow, especially when it comes to his technique. Thomas started every game for the Bulldogs as a true freshman and went on to become a dominant tackle before making the jump to the NFL after 3 seasons. While at Georgia, Thomas faced off against Alabama in the national championship and seemed well on his way to a ring, but Tua Tagovailoa came in and ripped apart the Bulldogs defense in what was the beginning of Tua mania. He was a stud for the Crimson Tide and was expected to be the clear-cut number 1 pick at the draft. But after a scary hip dislocation, his stock dropped low enough for the Dolphins to be able to scoop him at number 5. But the unfortunate injury bug has continued. Tua suffered a rib injury in week 2 and was stretchered off, later landing on injured reserve. His rookie year was a roller coaster, being benched back and forth in favor of Ryan Fitzpatrick. He threw for 11 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in a rather lackluster rookie year. Tua hasn't necessarily looked like the same player since his hip injury, but before that, he was tearing up college football. He had elite accuracy, great anticipation, and could use his legs if you needed him to, but the injury concerns were high. On top of his hip dislocation, Tua also had 2 high ankle sprains in his last 2 years at Alabama. Tua wasn't even expected to start for a while, but after Jalen Hurts got benched in the national championship, Tua led the Crimson Tide back and had a stellar 2018 campaign. He had huge expectations in 2019 and played well off the bat, but everything went south due to injury. And in the pros, Tua has been completely outplayed by the selection right after him, Justin Herbert. There isn't a single player in the draft, and not many in the league, that I would take over Herbert right now. He's emerging as an NFL superstar and has the Chargers well on their way to the playoffs. Los Angeles got an absolute steal at number 6. But at the end of the day, nobody thought that Herbert would be able to be this good, this fast.